Lap 6, turn 4, Mexico City. A Ferrari locks up, grass flies, and in that single moment, Lewis Hamilton's dream doesn't just crack. It shatters. What was supposed to be his resurrection with Ferrari became a 10-second execution. Not because he broke the rules, but because the FIA admitted he didn't and punished him anyway. This isn't just about one penalty. This is about the moment Formula One's justice system looked into the mirror and didn't recognize what stared back. Mexico 2025 was meant to be different for Hamilton. Third on the grid, his best qualifying in over a year, finally in sync with the SF25 after months of struggling to adapt. The symbiosis with Ferrari was taking shape. The crowd roared. The pressure lifted, and then the lights went out. Chaos. Immediate, breathtaking chaos. 4 cars, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, lined up in parallel heading into turn 1. Contact, grass, aggression. Leclerc cut the corner completely, briefly taking the lead before handing it back. Verstappen stormed around the outside, went wide, took to the grass. No penalties. None. George Russell's voice crackled over the radio instantly. Multiple cars had gained positions by cutting the track. The stewards? Silent. This wasn't enforcement. This was permission. And that permission would become fatal by lap 6, because what happened next changed everything. Hamilton was hunting. DRS open. Closing on Verstappen down the main straight, the perfect overtaking opportunity into turn 4. But he locked up. The Ferrari slid wide. Hamilton, traveling too fast to follow the designated yellow re-entry route, cut diagonally across the grass and rejoined ahead of Verstappen. The FIA's verdict? 10-second penalty. Gained a lasting advantage. Case closed. Except it wasn't, because in the official stewards document, document 36, buried in the technical language, was a sentence that detonated the entire justification. Hamilton did not violate the race director's notes. The FIA admitted he broke no rule. His speed made following the escape route impossible. Physically impossible, and yet they penalized him anyway. This is where the story turns from controversy into contradiction. The stewards wrote that Hamilton did the right thing by not taking the escape route because his speed made it unsafe. Then, in the same document, they punished him for the consequence of that exact action. Think about that. You're cleared for how you did it, but punished for what resulted from it. Ferrari's telemetry told the rest of the story. Hamilton didn't gain time cutting the grass. He lost it. His lockup cost momentum. His re-entry was slower. His exit speed through turns 5 and 6 was below Verstappen's. The lasting advantage the FIA claimed, it didn't exist in the data. Fred Vasseur didn't hold back. The penalty was not very well managed. 10 seconds in Mexico is race destroying. He was right. The thin air, long straights, and DRS trains made recovery impossible. Hamilton's podium, his first real shot with Ferrari, vanished instantly. But here's what made it unbearable. Minutes earlier, Verstappen had done the exact same thing. Lap 1, lap 6 again after contact with Hamilton in turn 1, cut across the grass, rejoined ahead, no penalty. Leclerc, same story, opening lap, cutting turn 2 entirely, briefly leading, handed the position back voluntarily, but only after realizing he'd gained an advantage. The stewards call those racing incidents. Martin Brundle, analyzing on Sky Sports, went further. He said Verstappen's start was reckless, that he had no intention of making the corner and should have received a drive-through penalty, not a pass. You can't apply the rulebook halfway, Brundle said. Half the time you enforce it, half the time you don't. That's not racing, that's arbitrariness. Hamilton's response wasn't explosive. It was surgical. I feel very let down by the governing body. Verstappen also went off track, and there was no penalty. I'm the only one to get a 10-second penalty. It's double standards. Calm, controlled, devastating. This wasn't anger. This was disappointment from a man who has spent 2 decades defining fair racing, only to feel betrayed by the officials meant to uphold it. Ferrari backed him immediately. Vasseur confirmed the telemetry showed no advantage. The engineers analyzed every data point. The conclusion was unanimous. The penalty made no sporting sense. Social media exploded. Double standards trended worldwide within minutes. Clips of Verstappen's cut circulated alongside Hamilton's. The question echoed everywhere. Why one and not the other? Even rival team members, speaking off the record, admitted the punishment looked excessive. It's like they needed to make an example of someone, one engineer said, and Lewis was the unlucky one. But this wasn't about luck. This was about credibility. And Formula One just watched its own governing body contradict itself in writing, then refused to explain why. The championship implications? Brutal. Hamilton dropped to 8th. Points lost. Momentum destroyed. His technical and emotional progress with Ferrari erased in one decision. Leclerc, who couldn't match Hamilton's pace all weekend, inherited a privileged position. The old internal Ferrari hierarchy questions suddenly reopened. So where does Formula One go from here? Scenario 1. The FIA doubles down, refuses transparency, and the double standards narrative becomes permanent, poisoning every controversial decision from here to Abu Dhabi. Scenario 2. Hamilton's bombshell forces reform, public review of stewarding criteria, clear published standards, accountability. The credibility gets rebuilt, slowly, painfully, but genuinely. Scenario 3, nothing changes. Another race, another inconsistency, another driver speaks out, and the crack Hamilton exposed becomes a chasm the sport can't close. Because this isn't about Hamilton anymore. It's about whether Formula One's justice system can survive its own contradictions. Here's what we still don't know. Why did the FIA admit Hamilton broke no rule, then punish him anyway? Why do identical incidents receive wildly different penalties depending on who's involved? And when will Formula One decide that fairness isn't negotiable? One thing's certain. The next time a driver leaves the track, the world won't just watch the incident. They'll watch the stewards. If you made it this far, you already know. This season's not about who's fastest. It's about who survives the politics. So tell me, is Formula One's penalty system broken beyond repair? Or was Hamilton right to call out the double standards?